In this video, I'll discuss private clouds and their key features and benefits. So, what makes a private cloud different than a public cloud? The answer, of course, is in the word private, so let's take a look. Unlike public clouds, private clouds are on premise, so owned and operated by the organization using it. They reside behind the corporate firewall, relying on the organization's own security structures to maintain privacy and stay secure. And they're usually self managed, which can actually mean a few different things. In a self managed scenario, there are typically three ways the organization owning the cloud can keep it operational and maintained. They can hire the personnel, keeping IT operations in house. They can choose a hosting provider that will administer most of the IT management services and minimize the internal personnel required for IT operations. Or they can contract out the management of their private cloud, keeping the internal spend down on IT operations. So, why do organizations choose a private cloud instead of a public one? First, they probably have existing infrastructure that not only represents a significant capital expenditure or CapEx, but it can also do the job. They already have the capability and expertise in house. They want to have control over their hardware and apps, which is understandable, but in many ways just a psychological advantage because the public cloud doesn't mean a loss of control. Perhaps they have compliance obligations that make them feel like they'd be more effective in their compliance activities if their data was behind their firewall. They may be uncertain about public cloud security or feel comfortable with their own security. And they may have reasons to utilize a hybrid solution to cloud computing, meaning that they've identified rationale for having some of their information behind their firewall and some of it in a public cloud. So, what are the perceived downsides to a private cloud? Well, it's no secret that owning your own infrastructure can be quite costly, not just for the equipment, but for all the associated costs, including, but not exhaustively, apps, personnel, and maintenance. Companies that rely on their own infrastructure run the risk of downtime, which can be quite costly. Upgrading of hardware and software is an ongoing process and can be time consuming. Owning and operating one's own infrastructure also limits the ability for scaling. If a company suddenly experiences a spike in traffic, it may not be able to easily add more servers and bandwidth to satisfy the need. And maintenance as well as tech support are entirely in the hands of the organization if they're doing it themselves. Keep in mind that these generally apply to internal architecture and may not be applicable if an organization has chosen to go with a hosting provider or contractor.